You're listening to the official podcast of Asbury University, produced by students with God-honoring conversations that inform, edify, and encourage. This is Asbury. We explore culture and current topics through a Christian worldview, promoting a well-balanced life, and we empower our community to belong, become, and be set apart. I'm your host, Abby Lobb. Welcome to This is Asbury. Welcome to the podcast. I'm joined in the studio today with Robyn Spoon. Welcome, Robyn.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Yeah, so a lot of people recognize your last name, who are in the Asbury family. Tell us a little bit, Robyn, about who you are and why you're here with us today.
Sure. I'm Robyn Spoon. I'm Justin's mom. Most people around here refer to him as just Spoon. And it was always funny, even, during his life and even after he died. We have two other kids who also have nicknames sort of associated with Spoon, but he was the one who was most frequently just called Spoon.
So tell us a little bit about Justin and his life and what he was like. I know he ran cross country here at Asbury, graduated in 2021. Tell us a little more about him.
Before cancer rocked his world, he had the opportunity to grow up as a kid. He got to just kind of be a kid, which not all kids with cancer get to do. He had a very serious problem with fairness. So I'm going to start off with the ugly things. While he was I think middle school kind of age kid. He was a runner then as well. Okay. He had a very early, obvious ability to run. Yeah. In fact, he would play other kinds of sports. He was very busy all the time and played soccer and all kinds of stuff. And we started to notice that his ability to run really overcame his inability to really be coordinated for things like soccer and football and things. So like the second half of any game. Right. Was when he was best. Yeah. And then we were like, maybe you should just stop playing sports with balls and just start running. So he ran. He was very musical. He loved to do lots of different things. So he was always involved in music programs in his school. And in high school, his faith became really important to him. And so, those are the basics, I guess.
That's great. What did he study here at Asbury?
Psychology after he studied 6 other things. So he came here with thoughts about, do I want to be able to be a doctor at some point, a physical therapist maybe?
Is it really college if you don't switch your major a couple times?
No.
I don't think it is.
No. So ultimately he ended with a degree in psychology. Great. And it was a summer. It was actually kind of a really good reminder to young people. I work with young people, helping them identify career and things like that. And I remember when at the end of one of his school years, he actually got a concussion playing either ultimate frisbee or football or something. Any of his friends would tell you that he was very competitive, so probably overplaying. Got hurt really bad and had to go to the UK Trauma Center.
Oh, no.
Got a terrible concussion and had to have take medical incompletes. He was supposed to do an internship that summer, and then after about a month, he finally started feeling better. The internship was blown, and we were like, you need to do something. And that was the summer he discovered that he wanted to work with kids with autism.
What kind of support did you guys on the other side of this after he passed, find most helpful in that time and while he was fighting his illness?
Yeah, he was here in the fall of his senior year when he was diagnosed. So actually, Coach Christ was with him when he went to the doctor the first time. COVID was going on.
Oh,
and
tough.
So we were a few hours away. And so just immediately having, not being in this crazy big environment, but instead a family type environment when we were concerned. He had a lump on his face. And, knowing that he had people here that he was so close with that were able to be there. And Coach Christ was in the doctor's office with him. And of course, at that time, they were like, nobody's allowed to be here. And he was like, no, I'm
too
going
bad.
to be here. And he did. And then, we had him on the phone with us. So that was incredibly important to have that support here.
Oh, I'm so glad you had that support from his coach. Coach Christ is amazing. that's, as a mom, that must have just been really comforting for you when you're a few hours away. So now you're trying to do some of that same kind of work now on the other side with Elevate. Can you tell us about what you've started and what you're doing to help support other families going through this?
Yeah, for sure. So we started Elevate in August of last year, and the goal of the organization is to empower patients and caregivers from the moment of diagnosis with the most high quality information they can have to improve their abilities to make decisions for their children who are facing childhood cancer. It's very difficult to get timely information, and depending on where you live and where your child's diagnosed, it can be, in some cases, almost impossible. There's maybe 100 different types of childhood cancer.
Wow.
And so you think, oh, childhood cancer, but sometimes the best help and the most important resources can be found in small regional hospitals or in some kind of a high volume place. And it can be different depending on the type of cancer. We're doing a webinar in another couple of weeks called You Have Permission for a Second Opinion.
Yeah. Well, that's so important because, when Justin was diagnosed with, is it rhabdomyosarcoma?
It is, yeah.
Did you know what that was? I mean, was
No.
that just a total, what is this? What do we do?
I had no clue. And I was in the middle of my PhD at the time and felt like I was very capable of reading very big words. And when a doctor at Lexington Clinic hands me a sheet of paper from literally WebMD,
Oh, gosh.
and I look down at it and I can't say it, and it took me literally days to be able to say this thing. That was certainly, it's a type of sarcoma that affects connective tissue and muscles.
So what kind of research did you have to do? Because, a lot of times, like you were saying, sometimes even the doctors are like, oh, well, this is something the specialists, they don't necessarily always know either. So how did you go about finding the information that you needed?
Well, I think we have a lot of privilege and we know a lot of people. And so sitting in a hotel here in Lexington waiting for a PET scan, I started emailing. One of my very good friends from high school was Vanderbilt trained pediatrician. And I'm like, well, what would we have done had we not had that person? And so you shouldn't have to have a friend who's a pediatrician to figure out how to connect the dots to get good care for your child in a moment of crisis. So
yeah. So with Elevate, how are you trying to, connect those dots for people? What are some of the ways that you're helping families? I know you're still getting up and running, so.
No, we've been walking and chewing gum, actually, so I think we're doing quite well. No, we're creating 2 patient advocacy groups, one for rhabdomyosarcoma and one for something called Wilms tumor, which is the most common kidney cancer that affects children as well. I have a board secretary whose child died from Wilms tumor a couple of years ago. In fact, the purple on my shirt represents purple like my pants for Kalina, who died at 8 of Wilms tumor. It's her favorite color.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah.
And the green, is the green also in the mountains? Tell me the significance to your
shirt.
Shirt.
Sure. So the logo is a mountain, and it was actually a design that Justin made for a concert he did when he was 17
that's amazing.
to raise money for missions. So he had gone to the DR, he'd gone to Haiti, and he had gone to Costa Rica. And so he created this logo to have a worship concert back in our hometown and raise money for that. And then the concert was called Elevate. It was his mission, and we decided we could borrow his logo and the name for his concert to represent our mission.
That's great. I love that. Is this something where, you do have some stories you can share of hope and success from people who have, come out on the other side?
Oh, yeah. It's a tough one. So about 15,000 kids are diagnosed in the United States each year with a predominantly pediatric cancer. Now, Justin wouldn't be included in that because he was over the age of 18.
Okay, right.
And the survival rate at the 5-year mark is about 80%. So about 1 in 5 kids at the 5-year mark do die of their disease. Unfortunately, many of them go on to die within that next year as well. So it's actually tough. It's the number 1 cause of death by disease in children in the country.
Okay.
We don't talk about it enough.
So cancer is the number 1 cause of death?
By disease.
By disease among children. Okay. Because typically, we might think of things like diabetes or things like, other complications, but that is pretty shocking. That is something we don't talk about a lot.
I think it's an invisible disease. Most children who are diagnosed with cancer end up spending so much time in the hospital because the treatments are so old, which is the other thing we do. We work on reimagining treatments for children with cancer. The frontline treatment that Justin was treated with, the average age of those drugs was like 1959, cyclophosphamide the year Alaska became a state, 1974,
Wow.
vincristine.
Why do you think it is that way? Why do you think it's not talked about? Or, I mean, it's hard to talk about, right?
I think that children, because the treatments are so toxic, end up leaving school for long periods of time. I think it's traumatic. A lot of families, 70% of children diagnosed with cancer experience PTSD from the treatments that they receive. The treatments are long. And then I think, we are asking children to be heroes. We're asking, we actually, it was something that really bothered Justin. He never felt called to become the champion of childhood cancer. He had a calling for his own career, and he's he was just trying to live his life. And he's he never felt this, I should be, until we told him he was dying, But until then, he was I'm going to live my life, the life I felt called to do.
I'm going to get through this and do life. Yeah.
It's not every child's calling to stand up and say, let me have a lemonade stand and raise money for my cancer. We just kind of want them to be able to be kids. So I think sometimes people want so badly for kids to be okay that everybody puts a very brave face.
Right.
I see it because we know a lot of the families. It's actually very difficult. The treatments for childhood cancer are devastating for the whole family. And so it's very tough. I mean, so now that's the hard, depressing part, right? Yeah. You asked me for a story of hope.
Yeah, that's okay.
The truth is that people want it to be, they want to see something really okay and really positive about it. And I'm happy to talk about what it looked like for me with my faith. But what I can say is that it is very difficult. We spent 275 nights in the hospital.
Wow.
And that's not atypical. Families struggle with their marriages, their finances. They have other children.
Yeah.
And that was what my husband and I saw. We stepped behind the HEMONC door, and we were old compared to most everybody. Justin was treated in a children's hospital at Cincinnati Children's, which was amazing. But the average age of the parents we saw were 25, 30 years old. We met parents who were the age of Justin that had babies with brain tumors and neuroblastoma and Wilms tumors and rhabdomyosarcoma sarcoma and things like that. And so what we started to notice was, wait, these people need allies. They need those of us outside those doors to realize that they need help. And that this thing is really happening, and that children really are going through these really tough treatments, and their parents are too.
Yeah. So it's we want it to be there's this glimmer of hope, but sometimes really it's you just need to get in the trenches with these families.
So Justin, about 3 months into his diagnosis, he was in the hospital. Children and for his disease, you get treated usually in the hospital. It's not outpatient treatment.
Okay.
3 to 5 days of chemotherapy on straight in a row. They had just upticked his stuff, so he was on doxorubicin and ifosfamide 5 straight days in a row, and they push all these fluids. It's hard. It's hard. I'm not going to lie. And as a mom, I looked over at him and I was like, okay, this is so cliche, but dude, if I could trade places with you right now. Right. So he said to me, he held my hand and we sat in this little window seat in his room in the hospital. And he's like, Mom, I need you to know this. God prepared me for this. And he prepared you to be my mom. And how about we just stay in our own lanes?
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, okay. And so when I think about what does it look to be hopeful, I've been asked to speak about what does it look like to grieve with hope.
Yeah.
And I'm like, for me, the entire time, people make the mistake of thinking that, when we talk about Jeremiah 29:11 a lot.
Right.
For the plans I have for you. Well, newsflash, God made a beautiful plan for every single one of us, and it is called salvation and eternity with him.
Doesn't mean rainbows and butterflies your whole life.
It doesn't. And it doesn't mean that we're going to get to be healed on the side of heaven. And I hear a lot of families who go through childhood cancer that are like, why didn't my kid get the miracle? And I'm like, whoa, I don't know what you're talking about. I lived a lot of small miracles with Justin. And the greatest one was knowing that, when he died, that he was receiving this beautiful eternity of actual, real healing. And so, no, this isn't probably going to be the rainbows and roses session of This is Asbury.
Right, that's okay. We've had a few of those.
But I think it's like, to me, that's what grieving with hope looked like. And I watched him live that every day. He knew where he was going. Yeah. And he fought really hard. Well, I don't even like that word, really fought. He fought to live every day. Yeah.
Yeah. Even knowing, the odds were stacked against him.
Oh, yeah.
He still fought.
Yeah. He had a trach and was in ICU in Seattle and was still talking about the life he was living.
Oh, wow. Yeah. What did you learn from that? How did you grow from that? Your family, you and your husband and your other kids. I mean, what was that like?
Now it is very much realizing that God can make good out of the hard. It looks like really knowing that each day is the day that we've got, and this is the one we're supposed to be living. I stopped making a lot of like, in 5 years I'm going to do this, or in 2 years I'm going to do that, or if I just get to the end of this, I'm going to be okay, and started trying to find ways to live, not like crazy, like live in the moment, whatever, but live a purposeful life, getting up each day and saying, God, what do you want me to do with this day?
Yeah, yeah. So you were in school, you said, when you first learned of the cancer diagnosis. So what has your journey been like since then? Did you complete that degree? Well, what are you doing? That's because you're running a nonprofit now.
Yep.
What does your life look like now?
I'm doing my dissertation right now.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
I completed my comprehensive exams when he was in a period of no evidence of... Well, I actually took one of my tests. I took one of the classes like while he was doing radiation. I'm over there like taking tests. So I'm trying to finish my degree
in
educational psychology.
Okay.
It's a research-based degree.
Wow.
And then the nonprofit doing that. So
yeah. So tell us a little more about the work that you're doing with parents and So in that work with the nonprofit, you touched on this a little bit, some of the misconceptions, you mentioned just even acknowledging how big of a challenge is. Are there other things that you would like to educate people about who just might not know a lot about childhood cancer?
Yeah, it's really hard. So our organization does two things. We empower parents and try to give them a bigger voice. And the other thing that we are doing is breaking down barriers among stakeholders to bring about new therapies. Okay. And that's just been crazy amazing. I was just in New York last week and was able to do that trip because of fundraising from the organization. Worked with 50 of the leading scientists and doctors from around the world at Sloan Kettering. They all came in from everywhere, and I was asked to get up and speak and work with them to help break down barriers among these stakeholders. Like the scientists are doing this great work, but it's very hard to bring about new therapies with pharmaceutical. Right. There's legislative effort that needs to happen.
So much red tape everywhere.
The red tape is so deep in this. It's so terrible. I mean, from the time that a new drug is developed and put into human trials for adults to the time we examine it and get it into children, the average time period is about 6.5 years. Wow. In the last 30 years, there's only been about 9 new drugs developed for kids' cancers. In that same time period, about 300 for adults. And so it's I always say to people, what about the least of these? Yeah. What are we doing? And it's money. I mean, it's money, it's red tape. And so, but we are finding that we can make incremental change. I had somebody ask me the other day, you must get up every single day and feel like, wow, how are you? It must just feel like you're never getting anywhere. And I went, I actually don't ever feel like that. I get up every day and feel like we are actually making incremental improvements along the way.
So it's not like some David and Goliath, like, wow, yeah, got the giant, whether it's the pharmaceuticals company or whoever it is, fill in the blank. You're making step-by-step progress.
You make step-by-step progress. Yeah.
And then how would you share, it's so easy in life to just get really fixated on what we're doing every day and, just forgetting about, people who are suffering, for lack of better words, just in terms of like the support for some of these families. You touched on this earlier. Like, what are some of the real, just tangible ways that you would encourage people to get involved, find somewhere to get involved, help somebody? Like, what really makes a difference? What made a difference for you?
Yeah, so I think there's a difference between the sort of personal help and the sort of systemic help. And people, I think it's like anything else. God made us each in this unique way, and to be able to be called to use gifts in different ways. And we got to experience that. Some of the things that I do now to help support people certainly came from things I saw people do for us. One of the things that I always think about is there's this song that's called "What Else Can I Do?" Basically, the whole point of it is that people are always like, I don't know what else to do. They'll say things like, the only thing I can think to do is pray, or the only thing I can think to do is sit with you. And I'm like, some of the most important things that people did was to pray for us, or to sit,
come sit
quietly.
You were in the hospital for how many days? Did you say 275
nights? But I wasn't counting. Yeah, no.
Right. Yeah, like, yes, please come sit with me. Right. That's so simple.
Listen. Just listening is really important, because everybody's needs are different. I could never sit here and say this is what everybody needs. The little things along the way. I mean, one thing that I realized is, if you feel prompted to do something, do it.
It's a good indication you should probably do it. Yeah.
Just do it. I mean, we had people that showed up with, somebody did a donut drop for our son Ryan when Justin was in the hospital having a surgery.
Yeah.
And what was really beautiful about it is that they signed it from my husband and I.
Oh, that's sweet.
Which I thought was really sweet, because we were so far away from him, and he's also our child, and he was 18 at the time, and they dropped off this box of donuts, and they were like, from your mom and dad. And I was like, thank you. That was really sweet. So there's a lot of things that people can do, but I would say be curious. Don't be afraid of people who are grieving. I never ask anybody anymore, like, how are you?
Oh, right.
That's
loaded question.
It's a very loaded question. Instead, one of the things that people did for me that I've now learned is they would come up to me and they would, like, maybe put their hand on my shoulder and say, it's good to see you.
Yeah.
Like, that's a really lovely way to be in the presence of another person that doesn't put burden on them.
Right. Yeah, because when you say, how are you, then you're like, well, how much time you got, right?
Oh, it's
like, how do you even answer that?
Oh, because it's not okay. But when somebody would say, I'm really glad to see you, it's good to see you, I'm glad you're here, that just, it didn't put any burden on me. And it's something I've certainly adopted.
Right. I like that.
I think people sometimes spend too much time trying to tell a person who's grieving, like, all the reasons why it's okay. God only gives you what you can handle. Oh, rough. Please don't. What's
the worst thing to say?
God will only give you what you can handle is at the top of the list. That one, God needed your child.
Oh,
no.
Gosh.
Also,
no.
People have said this to me. I think that when we borrow God in some way to say things that he wouldn't say, it's really hard, and people mean well. But instead, it's like, I think really, really, really challenging. It puts a lot of burden on that person. I've seen some families really struggle with their faith after people have shared what I would consider to be Christianese.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's just really what they need is for you just to, like you said, listen. Just know that you're there, and maybe you don't need to say anything at all. Right.
I would say that would be the safest thing.
Right.
It's just being there and being available and not being afraid to be around somebody who's grieving.
Right.
And then recognizing that, a lot of people are very, very focused on this idea of a person being healed physically on this side of heaven as the number one sign of God performing a miracle. And yet, in my journey with Justin and his treatment, we experienced the Holy Spirit in ways that I did not previously comprehend, very regularly. And this, I mean, I really feel like it's a miracle when a parent is able to walk into a room where they know they're probably going to get really bad news again, and again and again. Yeah. It can happen a lot, and they're able to do it and breathe and sit there and take that information and be able to process that in any way. It feels pretty miraculous in those moments. I was frequently overwhelmed by the Holy Spirit in those moments.
What did that feel like? Did it feel like I just have this supernatural strength right now to hear this news, or did it feel like peace? Like, what did it feel like?
I think to me, a couple of my friends who've gone through that have children who've gone through cancer and many times have relapsed multiple times. So you know that anytime you go in for scans, you can be getting bad news. We've all agreed that peace is maybe one of the most underrated things that we pray for. Yeah, it seems as if we maybe are not, at least. I don't want to put this on the other listeners, but for me, until Justin was diagnosed, I don't think I ever actively really sought peace.
That's so good.
And to recognize that we can ask for it and we can have it. And, 20 minutes later, we may not be feeling great anymore. Right. And that's okay because, you got what you needed in the moment.
Yeah. Getting back real quickly to Elevate, what is your ultimate hope for this? Is it just helping other parents not have to go through what you went through? Is it helping other kids have better rates of survival? Like, obviously those are probably things you're working toward. Is there anything else that is sort of part of your mission?
I think one of the things that's really surprised my board secretary, Amy Mensch, and myself, we talk about this a lot, is what it has looked like to see some families get a voice in a space that they didn't previously feel like they had one. And how several of them have really come to us and said that it's been very healing for them to have a place to be able to use their gifts and their passions to make a difference. Yeah. We now know that meaning making is part of the grieving process.
I like that, meaning making. Yeah.
And so for many of them, they've maybe felt like they've been screaming into a tunnel for a while. And we're like, hey, we can give you an audience. And we've been incredibly blessed to be able to get in front of some of the most key players. I mean, I just spent the last few days with the director of pediatric oncology for the FDA.
Wow.
I've been to Brussels, Belgium, and been in front of the EMA there, some of the leading scientists and doctors, various pharmaceutical companies, and God just continues to just bring more and more and more people together. We really believe in the community and the effect that can have. And so I guess one of the most beautiful things has been to see some healing take place for others. And be able to have a chance to really, even though we are a secular organization, we are, both, many of us are, practicing Christians.
Right.
And know that really, as much as anything else, being able to walk alongside somebody is really, really important, and hope that maybe more and more of them will be able to hold on to their faith through what, in many cases, seems like a really, for many of them, their faith becomes a challenge.
Yeah, I bet. And then you touched on something, too, that I think is worth pointing out, too. You touched on the divorce rates for people who go through this. I mean, I just can't imagine, like, going through that with a child and then, your marriage suffering as a result. Why do you think it's purely just the stress of it that just makes people crack, or what do you think it is?
It's the stress is so high. The time in the hospital for most of these families is really high, and then oftentimes have other kids. There's a huge financial burden between the lost income. I can tell you, my husband and I were both financially okay ahead of time. We were older and whatever, but I mean, not everything. You could have been
missing work that whole time, right?
Well, I did. I took time off. I mean, we cashed in part of my retirement to help pay for time, and then just insurance doesn't pay for a lot of things.
Right.
And then you live away from home. Yeah. We lived in Seattle for 6 weeks.
Wow. Yeah. And you're still caring for other kids.
And Justin didn't qualify for the Ronald McDonald House. And even if you do, those are beautiful ministries, by the way. Yeah. I always round up at Ronald McDonald. It's really, really important. But I think the time away from each other, and then people grieve, and even if their children live, there is a lot of trauma in all of it. People deal with the stress in different ways. Yeah. The marriage needs a lot of help and support.
Yeah. So you could be celebrating, okay, my child beat this, but how could you then encourage families after that? Like, what would you say to encourage people on the journey past cancer?
Oh, wow. I would say don't be afraid of marriage counseling.
Right.
I think it's important. We've done it.
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea. Finding other families that have been through this, that is one thing that we're really fortunate. I think that the way that our nonprofit works is that we bring a lot of people together, and we hope those connections provide people with the opportunity to be with others who understand the unique challenges. I don't know that I have a magic bullet on that one.
Yeah, that's okay.
I would say just be aware.
Right.
I think be aware that the people around you are struggling. Because I think you're getting hit with almost all the tough stressors.
Yeah.
Lots of change, lots of trauma, and lots of financial hardship, all of it. It's really quite, and I would say that's probably true for any family that's dealing with a complex medical condition as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, in closing, Robyn, just talking about what you're doing, how people can support. We've learned a little more about Elevate. Are there ways that people can support you? I know. Team AU is still behind you, and all of Justin's teammates and everything. Are there other ways that people can contribute, whether that's financially, whether that's through time? What does that look like to support?
Any way anybody would like. We have a really well-developed website, elevatechildhoodcancer.org, and there's tons of information on there about it. People can support our organization in a ton of ways. We're actually actively seeking board members who have experience in accounting and bookkeeping, lawyers who understand regulatory issues and things like that. So if anybody has that kind of background, if somebody wants to do a fundraiser, we would love it. Sarcoma Awareness Month is coming up, which that's probably going to be after this actually airs. Childhood Cancer Awareness Month is in September.
So when is Sarcoma Awareness Month?
That's in July. And then Childhood Cancer Awareness Month is in September. We're going to be down here actually in Lexington. Another member of the Asbury community is having a huge concert.
Oh, cool.
At Manchester Hall in Lexington on September 28th, raising money and awareness for childhood cancer. There's going to be a ton of media down here around that.
September, what's the date of that?
September 28th.
Great.
It should be fun.
Yeah,
and a great way to learn about a tough topic.
Mm-hmm. Do you know how many people are impacted by this type of cancer?
By Rhabdomyoid sarcoma? About 500 people in the United States every year are diagnosed with Rhabdomyoid sarcoma, and it unfortunately has a very, very, very tough prognosis.
So very rare. Very, very, very
rare.
Yeah,
it's considered, each one of these is considered an ultra rare. It's one of the challenges with pediatric cancer is that each form of it is considered very rare. However, really a school busload full of children is diagnosed with cancer in the United States every day.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
And I just feel like if we had a busload full of kids hanging over a precarious cliff and it was showing up on CNN or Fox
whatever
News,
you needed to.
We would be fighting so hard if people realized it is so much more common than you would realize. People start sort of coming out of the woodwork.
Wow. I want people to leave with that image in their mind of that busload of kids.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think that's a powerful place to end. And then they can get involved through Elevate and any of these other things that you mentioned. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of This is Asbury. To learn more about Asbury University, visit asbury.edu.